Serena Williams and Tsvetana Pironkova meet yet again in a major, this time much earlier in the French Open second round. Looking at the head-to-head, Serena leads 5-0, winning their last match at this year's US Open quarterfinals. Yes, Tsvetana is ranked outside the top 150, but prior to New York, she had no ranking at all, that being her first tournament after maternity leave. Pironkova has also seen moderate success at this slam a few years back, reaching the quarters in 2016, beating Irani, Radwanska, and Sloane that same tournament. Williams, of course, has won 3 times here in 2002, 2013, and 2015. Serena opened against Christy On and had a really rough opening set, going down a break multiple times. On actually served for the set at 5-4, but Serena turned it around and things ultimately went to a tiebreak. Here everything changed, as Serena from then on ran away with the match, playing well within herself to grab a 7-6, 6-love win. In the opening set, Serena understandably looked out of sorts and unsure of how to play under these difficult conditions. At times, she overplayed a lot, making a total of 28 unforced errors. However, in the second set, she built the points more, hitting with more angles and only hit 8 unforced errors. Serena also served pretty strong, hitting 11 aces, but she was smart with her serving, hitting more slices and kicks. Pironkova, on the other hand, had a much more straightforward match, getting a good 3-3 victory over Andrea Petkovic. Watching the highlights, Pironkova looked very comfortable in these conditions, which actually suit her game style. Looking at the stats, it's just a simple, straightforward, solid performance from Tsvetana, making more winners than unforced errors and serving well. For Pironkova to grab her first win over Williams, she must first use variety. Her forehand slices troubled Serena a bit, as she had to constantly get low for them. The slice would be even more effective here, because with the conditions, the ball would stay even lower and would be even more difficult to return. The drop shot is also an excellent play, especially with these conditions. Tsvetana should hit a lot of slice serves to the Serena forehand. This serve really challenged Serena in New York, and with the ball being even lower here, it's likely to create more issues for Serena. While still on the slice serve to the forehand, Pironkova should cover that, because that'll be a serve I believe Serena will use quite a bit in this match. This would tempt Serena to go for the riskier flat serve down the tee, which could create additional problems and a lowered first serve percentage. Lastly, Pironkova should actively try to move Serena as much as possible, as she did at the Open. She was able to do this with her penetrating shots to really get Williams out of position and unable to dictate. Serena, on the other hand, needs to serve smart, as she did against On. Regardless of whether Tsvetana is covering it, she shouldn't be afraid of hitting that safe yet effective slice serve. The kick serve is also very effective. Serena must also prohibit Pironkova from hitting a lot of angles by going heavy up the middle. This of course prevents her from being ran all around the court. Additionally, Williams needs to keep the ball out of the Pironkova strike zone. Tsvetana likes it when the balls are low, but she kind of struggles when they're higher and hit with heavier spin. Lastly, Serena must be active with her feet from the start. She did relatively well with this in New York, but she has to continue this here, especially with the conditions. For the final match prediction, I believe Serena will win in 3 sets. This is not going to be an easy match at all for Serena, as Pironkova is playing extremely well. She will be pushed, but ultimately I believe she'll come through like she did in New York because of her experience and being the better player. I think a lot of the result depends on Serena herself and how exactly she plays this match. If she plays like how she did in the first set against On, forcing things, she'll likely lose. However, if she is playing within herself like in that second, she will win. I believe we'll see a bit of both sides tomorrow, which is why I have it going 3, but I think Serena has learned quite a bit from their match in New York and will eventually come out on top. I decided to do a mini preview for some other matches, first starting with Dominic, Thiem, and Jack Sock. Thiem leads their head-to-head 3-1, and talking about his play as a whole, he's been playing a lot better than I expected. Of course, if you all watched my men's preview, I thought he would lose to Marin Cilic because of his lack of match play prior to playing Roland Garros, and I said, well, Thiem is a player that really thrives off of those match reps, and because he's had so little match preparation, he could have been in trouble, but he obviously wasn't. He played very well, returned very well, served very well, and he definitely looks like a really strong contender to win this title. Speaking about Jack Sock, he seems to have found his game after the last 2 really poor years. He played decent in New York, winning his first match over Pablo Cuevas, and then here in Paris, beating Riley Opelka in straight sets. Just a really good win, and I didn't expect that. I expected Opelka to really kind of not really dominate Sock, but get by pretty stress-free, so that was definitely a surprise. Addressing the match itself, I feel like Thiem already has experience of playing someone similar to Sock's way of playing in Cilic. Both Marin and Jack have really strong serves and really strong forehands. Of course, Jack's forehand is a lot different with that crazy amount of RPMs and spin he gets on that shot. And I think because of the forehand itself, that's his big weapon. He can challenge Thiem, especially with the inside-out forehand. But the question is he able to cover that open court he leaves available to Thiem? Another thing is that Jack pretty much had a relatively stress-free serving day against Riley Opelka. Opelka isn't a bad returner by any stretch. However, Thiem is a very, very good one. And I think he's, of course, used to already returning big serves against Cilic. And speaking about Jack's perspective, he'll have a different look because Thiem likes to stand really far behind the baseline. And that'll really change, I feel, his serving, his way of serving. He'll probably need to hit with more slice serves wide to the Thiem forehand, which of course doesn't really bode well for him, but it's the best serve he'll probably have available to hit, especially, like I keep mentioning, the conditions. The flat T serve, it isn't the most optimal. So it'll be a completely different matchup for Sock. I think it'll be a step up in class, and I have Thiem winning that match in 4 sets. The next match I have to preview is Rafael Nadal against Mackie McDonald. These two have never played before, and speaking about Nadal's performance really quickly in the opening round against Igor Gerasimov, he played pretty well within himself. One thing that surprised me was his increased pace on his shots. He hit with a lot more pace, which is something I feel like he needs to do, especially against those players that will challenge him. Of course, Gerasimov isn't at Rafa's level, but he wasn't able to really step up in the court and dictate like we saw Schwartzman do in Rome. And if Mackie wants a chance at this, he cannot try to outslug Nadal from the baseline. He has to try and take the ball on the rise and really dictate, like I said, what Diego did in Rome. McDonald has been playing well lately, which is good to see after all of the injury issues he had to deal with in the past. But ultimately, I feel like Nadal would just be a step up in class from his previous opponents. And I think Rafa will win in 3 sets with at least one set going the distance. The last match I have to preview, or mini preview, is Simona Halep against her compatriot Irina-Camelia Begu. Halep leads their head-to-head 7-0, and I don't see a lot changing here. Begu, though, is coming into this match with a great win over Joe Teichmann, and she did push Halep in Prague last month. However, Simona wasn't really at her best there, and even if she is slightly in better form here in this match, I think she'll still take this one in straight sets. That's all for my previews, and let me know whether you agree or disagree with my picks in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we post more prediction videos like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.